Edie, you have to learn to trust me.
Jamie, what are we doing?
To really understand life in a forest, you have to experience it from an animal's point of view. Imagine a squirrel.
Don't look down. Don't look down. Don't look down.
They would just scramble along branches thinner than this.
That's it. I'm done being a squirrel.
So am I.
You are?
Yeah. Now we can live like bald eagles. Let's go gather twigs for the nest.
In this episode of CG Kids, we head off the beaten path to explore Canada's incredible forests.
We get a lesson in forest survival packing from Colin Inglis as we explored Canada's West Coast temperate forest.
Then we head to Ontario to learn about Canada's largest forest, the boreal forest. We visit the Halliburton Forest and Wildlife Reserve and check out a pack of wolves.
In Jay's Geology, I find out why most leaves turn colors in the fall.
Trees, trees, and more trees, all on this episode of CG Kids.
Geographic Kids.
Are you finished?
I think so. Don't ever do that again.
We are in a forest. Forests are amazing. They cover 45% of Canada's land mass. We have 10% of the world's entire forest region right here in Canada.
Canada's forests are also home to over 93,000 species of plants, animals, and tiny organisms. Plus, forests clean our air and water, help prevent soil erosion, and can actually help control our climate.
Forests aren't just a bunch of trees standing around. They're a whole world.
And we're gonna check out some of Canada's amazing forest ecozones. From a people point of view, not a wildlife point of view.
Boring.
Try safe.
Jamie is right. A forest isn't just a group of trees. It's much more than that. Although trees make up a good portion. A forest ecozone has shrubs, vines, mosses, and other vegetation. Plus, they are homes to everything from large mammals to tiny microorganisms. They are a complex ecosystem. Canada's diverse forests can be broken up into 9 forested ecozones. The Boreal Cordillera, Boreal Plains, Boreal Shield, Pacific Maritime, Montane Cordillera, Taiga Plains, the Prairies, Mixed Wood Plains, and Atlantic Maritime. Other northern areas of Canada are classified as tundra, with very little tree growth. We classify forests based on where they are located and the type of vegetation growing in them. Let's take a look at Canada's largest forest, the Boreal Forest. It actually covers 80% of Canada's forested land. The Boreal Forest, represented by the blue shading, crosses the whole country. It's found in every province and territory except Nunavut. The Boreal Forest is mostly made up of coniferous trees, like evergreens. They have waxy needles instead of leaves. Right now, it looks as though Jamie and Edie are entering the Pacific Maritime ecozone. It runs right along the western coast of British Columbia and is known for its huge trees and rugged, steep landscape. It's very different from other forest areas of Canada, as it has some of the warmest and wettest climates, and it actually contains Canada's only rainforest. The rainforest fringe isn't very large and just runs along the edge of the coast. Jamie and Edie are in a forested area near Vancouver. And actually, I have a feeling they're lost.
Oh, you know what? I think we've been here before. Yep, there's the ribbon I tied earlier. We are walking in circles. We're lost.
No, we're not. We're just reorientating ourselves.
I'm just gonna have to get the as the crow flies compass on my geocam working, and we'll find our way out of here.
Or someone who can show us the way out. Hey, Colin.
Hey, Edie, how's it going?
Pretty good.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Great.
So, Colin, you know your way around a forest.
I sure do.
lately in school I've been taking this course, and it's called Explorations. So every week we go out and we learn a new skill in the forest. So we've done orienteering and tree identification and bugs and all sorts of stuff like that, especially finding our way around, which is what you guys look like you need right now. Can I see your backpack?
Sure.
Colin is checking to see if we have the basic forest survival supplies.
All right, let's see what we got here. Flashlight, always a good thing to have if you stay overnight. Phone, probably one of the most important things if you need to call for a way out of here. Get help. A lighter, that's pretty good, but it could run out of fuel. Do you have matches anywhere? Here you go. Matches, that's one of your top 5 most important things you need with you at all times. If you get lost and you need heat, that's your lifesaver. If you need to start a fire, you need to get some good wood. You got your pocket knife here. It's got a saw on it. There you go. Good saw. You can cut down some smaller trees. I think you'd have a heck of a time trying to cut down one of those babies. And a garbage bag. This works good if you ever hurt yourself. If you got a cut or something, you need to bandage up. There you go. My cut's secure. And first aid kit. The first most important thing you need to take with you at all times. So it's pretty good that you have that. All right, what else we got here?
Purple cow.
I think that's a horse.
Well, whatever it is. Well, make a good pillow if you have to stay the night. There you go.
Yes. Well, it looks as though we're pretty prepared. But Colin had a surprise for us. We're actually not lost in the middle of nowhere. This forest is part of the University of British Columbia and is a research forest.
The science of caring for trees is called silviculture, and in this forest, everything from tree growth to soil to air quality is studied. Colin comes here every week with his class.
You know, another thing I learned in my course was a lot about bugs and how they affect the environment. Some will work their way through the soil, killing off other bugs, and the waste they leave behind can affect the soil and stuff like that. Hey guys, check this out. I found a looper. Yeah, they often call these guys inchworms because that's about how long they are. They're just inch long. You find them up in the tree and they'll eat up all the foliage in the top of the tree.
So are they damaging to the trees?
Yeah, they are, because after they eat up all the leaves on the trees, the leaves are what allow the trees to grow.
It's hard to imagine that something so small and cute can be so devastating.
Totally.
Identifying trees is pretty challenging, but Colin knows what to look for.
All right, guys, if you look over here, that's a western hemlock right there. It's got short little leaves like this, little clumps. The bark's so different from any other tree. This is almost like puzzle piece-like, whereas if you look at this cedar over here, you can tell that it's really peely, and then it'll just strip right off, just like that. It's got shorter leaves. They're not in so many groups. They come out opposite each other. And then you've got your birch over there. You can tell by its bark, just because it's nice and smooth, it doesn't really peel off at all. It just kind of flakes off in little tiny pieces. Simple little details like that will give the different trees away.
This temperate forest is an amazing mix of life. And along BC's coast is another incredible ecosystem, a coastal temperate rainforest. This area has a rich mix of vegetation, climate, and wildlife, including the unique white Kermode bear.
I think we're really becoming tree huggers, although it's pretty tough to hug these huge trees.
Oh, I'm sorry, Edie. I'm just doing a little house cleaning.
Oh, hey, Eldon. That's a pretty cool treehouse you have there. Whose is it?
Well, it's mine. I grew it.
No, I mean, whose treehouse is it?
It's mine. I grew the tree and the treehouse. I can grow you one too if you want to join my treehouse club. The membership dues are a low $20 a month.
You grew a tree with a treehouse? Besides the point that you have to build a treehouse and you can't grow one, it would take 50 to 60 years to grow a tree to that size.
Well, that's how I make all my money. Oh, did I say that out loud?
You're unbelievable.
Hey, maybe you could water my garden while you're down there.
It's that time again.
Triviography time!
And the question is, what is a snag?
Snag?
And it's not something that might happen to your new wool sweater.
And it's not that crazy old carpet your parents once had in the basement. see if you can get the answer before Jamie can get down from the tree.
Edie, where are you going? You gotta help me down here, Edie! Help! Somebody!
After checking out Canada's West Coast forests, we've headed to Ontario to find out about the largest forest ecozone. The boreal forest is home to some incredible animals, like moose, bears, and wolves. We're at the edge of Canada's incredible boreal forest and the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Forest Region in Haliburton, Ontario.
Although the St. Lawrence Forest region is very large, we still have to be careful about not depleting it as we build our homes, furniture, and numerous other things we use every day.
We're going to visit Canada's first certified sustainable forest and a world model, the Haliburton Forest and Wildlife Reserve, and find out more about respecting the forest.
The Haliburton Forest and Wildlife Reserve is a privately owned forest covering over 20,000 hectares. David Bishop is the project coordinator.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how are you?
What are you up to?
Well, I was out here watching Tyler paint some trees. What he's done through is our forester gone through and selected this tree out of all the other ones here is the one that we're going to take out.
And why would you choose, say, this tree over maybe that tree?
There's a lot of different factors that are involved. We're looking at the overall health. This tree has a few things that are defects. We're trying to keep the best trees in the forest and take out the worst. That's what our plan is. So this tree has a seam down the center here, okay, so there's probably got some rot in the middle of it. And it's losing its vigor. You can see that we're pulling the bark off here. The bark just falls away from this tree, as opposed to that one there, where the bark is really, really tight. So that tree is growing stronger. It's healthier than this one here. Some of the trees are marked with blue, which means you want to leave that tree. It's a good seed tree, and we want to leave it for whatever reason whatsoever. And this one here is for habitat purposes, for your squirrels and raccoons to live in.
So you try and keep lots of diversity?
Very much so. The idea is to keep the different species of trees, different sizes of trees, and that's really what this is all about, is producing a forest that we can come through every year and cut some trees out of and make it sustainable. We can do it every year from here through eternity.
Now, I just heard some horses in the background. Could
Yeah.
you check that out? What's
Sure.
happening there?
Well, they've got a couple trees cut down over here. They're going to start hauling them out to the log landings.
With a horse?
With a horse. And you can see that the trees have been cut down now. This tree was marked, and these guys are ready to go. And you ready?
Yeah.
So you can see the power. This is a Belgian horse. And
Oh, wow.
David said they use horses because they're less expensive to keep, can operate when it's wet or rainy, and don't damage the forest floor like heavy equipment.
and off they go. So now this log will get dragged out to the road.
Yep.
And from there, the trucks will pick it up, take it to the mill, and it gets milled and turned into furniture or whatever the case may be.
What are you eating?
Peanuts from my real friends, the squirrels. Thanks, guys. Hey, so you decided to come back and help me down?
No, it's triviography answer time. Do you remember the question? What is a snag?
I know what a drag is. It's sitting up in this tree all day. Jay, what is a snag?
A snag is a name given to a tree that is dead, but is actually still standing. Once a standing tree dies and becomes a snag, it begins to decay and the center of the tree becomes soft. This allows birds to chip away and create nesting holes, and sometimes the holes just form on their own. It's believed that 85 species of North American birds and a variety of other animals rely on snags for nesting, food, and shelter. The decaying wood attracts insects which provide food for various birds. The loose bark can even give a little brown bat a roost.
I think Edie's been in the forest too long.
Actually, Jamie, I'm not just messing around. I'm practicing my howling survey.
Well, what's a howling survey?
Well, I can answer that. You were great. Sounded wonderful out there. Yeah, the howling survey is what we tend to do is go out in the evening times and howling, just like you did, and trying to elicit a response from an outside wild pack. And if we're fortunate, we can then determine how many animals are in that pack and where they're located.
How can you tell how many wolves there are?
You listen to the different pitches of the animals, and you can tell by that way. So some animals have, like ourselves, a deeper tone. Some will have a higher pitch tone. Pups will have a bit more of a yip at this time of the year. So you can add all those together and create it all out.
What makes a perfect howl?
One of the things you need to do is get a more longer, drawn-out call and constantly change your pitch. Something like this. You guys are good, though.
You're good.
Great. If you'd like to learn a bit more about wolves, we can go to the Wolf Center and we'll be able to observe them in their natural habitat and learn more about this animal.
Great, let's go.
Amazing.
Great, I'll follow you guys.
The Wolf Center's 15-acre enclosure is one of the largest natural wolf reserves in the world. The original wolves came here from a similar reserve in the United States. This glass gives visitors a safe way to view a real pack of wolves.
Wow.
Look at that.
These are the wolves of your center.
That's right, yeah.
They're beautiful.
There's 10 of them in the enclosure.
They're all brothers and sisters?
Yep, so it's all part of one family. So this is a pack. It's a family unit. So there's an alpha male and an alpha female. That's the mom and dad. And then all their siblings, their offspring underneath them there.
What's alpha mean?
Alpha is the leader. So in this case, you have a lead female and a lead male in the pack. And the lead female is responsible for all the females, and the lead male responsible for all the males. The alphas, the top wolf, is the one that feeds first. It gets all the best food. And then as you work down the ladder, the more subordinate animal you are, the worse food you get.
So I guess the phrase tail between your legs comes from wolf behavior.
Totally. And in fact, that's how they communicate most often, is with actual body language. So they don't do a lot of verbals out there. I mean, we didn't get them to howl, but the reality is you're seeing tail position is up, meaning I'm more dominant over the one that's next to you there. And that might change depending on who you're dealing with in the pack. So as you can watch, some animals who are dominant over this one, as they move up to another animal, they might be submissive and they tuck their tail between their legs and crouch down, get that low position, ears down. It's like, yeah, you're the boss, sort of thing. So they get that whole concept.
And the other ones are like, the alphas are like, hey, I'm here.
They're strutting their stuff, that's right. And you know what, you're absolutely right. The big thing is attitude.
Yeah.
And attitude, if they've got the attitude, then you are top wolf.
Why are they so skinny? They don't look very big.
They look skinny because, well, these guys feast and famine. I mean, when was the last time you guys ate? Right? Breakfast, lunch?
Yeah.
Okay, dinner last night?
Yeah.
These guys ate 4 days ago. So wolves in the wild feast and famine. So they'll gorge themselves, and I've watched them eat 10 kilograms of meat in one sitting, and you've got, it's like the alpha males running, oh my gosh, what did I do to myself, right? And then a few days later, things start to digest and evolve, and maybe 3 or 4 days later before they get hungry, and it might take them 3 or 4 days after that before they actually make a kill to eat again. So they feast and famine, and it's very common. So they're looking a little bit thin because it's 4 days since they last eat, and we try to mimic that process.
Back out in the rainforest of the West Coast, researchers think they may have discovered a subspecies of wolf, the coastal wolf. It's smaller with shorter, darker hair and can actually swim really well. So it seems that not only are our forests different from one end of the country to the other, but so is our wildlife.
Forests provide us with many things. Their leaves help to clean the air we breathe. They give us shade on hot summer days. And in the fall, they put on an amazing Technicolor display in many parts of the country. But not all trees have leaves that change color in the fall. Most coniferous trees stay green all year, like pine trees that have needles and cones. Deciduous trees are the ones that put on a real color show. They survive in the winter by going into a state of hibernation until spring, and this involves losing their leaves. Leaves are really important to trees. They are used to process their food. Plants and trees get their nutrition by sucking up water from the ground and absorbing carbon dioxide, a gas, from the air. Plants use light to convert the gas and water into glucose, a sugar, which is their food. This process is called photosynthesis, which literally means putting together with light. And this process happens in the leaves of a plant. But what does all this have to do with leaves turning from green to red? Well, I'm not gonna leave you wondering, so let's go check it out. Leaves contain different natural chemicals, and this makes them all different colors. Chlorophyll is a green chemical that makes leaves green. Many leaves also contain weaker yellow, red, purple, and brown pigments that we can't always see. I'm chopping up these maple, birch, and oak leaves and putting them in a jar. Now I'll add a bit of rubbing alcohol and put my jar in this basin of hot water. I'm going to add strips of coffee filter paper, which will suck up different color pigments and separate them into different segments. The alcohol in hot water should have drawn out the color pigments from the leaves, so we'll see if my filter paper absorbs them. All the leaves had chlorophyll, the green marks on the paper. But as you can see, some also contain red and yellow pigments. Yellow pigment is called xanthophyll, and the orange is carotene, the same thing that makes carrots orange. So we now know that these leaves already have the pigments to turn into their amazing fall colors. But why do they? Remember photosynthesis? Well, as the days start getting shorter and cooler, like they do in the fall, it becomes harder for photosynthesis to occur. And trees and plants realized it's time to hibernate. I'm going to cover half this maple leaf with tinfoil so that no light can get through. Then, I'll put the other half in the sun. Without exposure to light, photosynthesis can't happen. And therefore, the chlorophyll isn't needed anymore. So it breaks down, and with the chlorophyll out of the way, the weaker pigments should show through. See how the color and texture of the leaf has changed? If this leaf was on a tree, it would fall off, and the tree would lie dormant until spring. Then, increased water and sunlight would wake it up again. Hey, I'll have to try that next time my brother oversleeps. Bright lights and a glass of water over his head.
A fantastic fact about respecting Canada's forests is that one mining company, Inco, has come up with a solution to replacing the forests that are depleted during mining operations in Sudbury. They are growing trees about 1,400 meters below the earth. Inside the Creighton mine is an underground nursery. Each year, Inco grows around 300,000 pine seedlings in the mine, which are then planted up on the surface each spring. So far, Inco has grown and planted 2.5 million pine trees. I guess that's what you call being mindful of our forests.
You know, Jamie, something we haven't mentioned about forests is how amazing it is to hang out in them.
That's right, especially the great Canadian recreational pastime of camping.
There's nothing more peaceful than camping.
What is all that racket? Can we please turn down the volume? Yeah, yes, if you can't beat them, join them.
They would scramble along branches thinner than this.
Ugh. I don't know, you're going too fast for me. I'm still here.
Some will work their way through the soil, killing off other bugs, and the waste they leave behind can affect the soil and stuff like that. It's really interesting. Maybe we should go try and find some.
Yes!
We're ready.
All right, let's go.
Here, buddy.
Here we go.